With the Maine decision coming out that Trump theoretically could be barred from their ballot, not everyone who you might expect that would be in favor of this is in favor of this. And I want to break down some of their responses, starting with Representative Jared Golden, a Democrat of Maine, who noted in a statement following this decision that he voted to impeach Trump over January 6th and opposes his re-election, but said, quote, "We are a nation of laws, therefore, until he is actually found guilty of the crime of insurrection, he should be allowed on the ballot." Which I think, there are so many different arguments that you could use to say that we should pump the brakes on this. And I just think that that's one of the weaker ones, because again, that's you critiquing like the wording of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. Like you'd prefer that it says something different, that rather than say you participated in insurrection, you'd like it to say that you were convicted of participation. And honestly, I think that's probably a fair amendment to make. But if you want that, then you need to amend the Constitution, because that's not actually what it says, or at least that it's never been adjudicated in that way. Perhaps the Supreme Court will do that. We also have a statement from Susan Collins, and I'm gonna push past, I think, the natural inclination I have to not give a damn what she says about anything ever again, considering what she did when it came to Brett Kavanaugh. But in this topic, she says, Maine voters should decide who wins the election, not a Secretary of State chosen by the legislature. Bellow's decision would deny thousands of Mainers the opportunity to vote for the candidate of their choices, and it should be overturned, which is a perfectly fine thing for a random person on Twitter to say, but I would expect more of a senator. Again, like, would it deny them the chance to elect him? Yes, but it's in the Constitution. Like, again, if you want to change it, if you don't think that Section 3 should exist, if you think that it's outdated or archaic, that it was only meant to apply to the Civil War, then get rid of it, pass an amendment. But until then, it is there. And I understand, like, that's a legal document. It's not just like a haiku that we think is catchy or something. Like, that is a legal document that is supposed to inform both laws and the decisions of the Supreme Court. And so to so casually just be like, yeah, but I don't like it. Wouldn't it be better if we voted him out? Like, I agree, I would prefer that he lose the election. But I didn't write the Constitution, and neither did you. And if you want to change it, you can do that. You're a senator. So I don't know. I find these to be weak arguments. Rayvana, I'll go to you. We've discussed both, I think, on this program and on the Damage Report, I think, stronger arguments. They really seem to be focusing on areas that I don't find to be particularly persuasive. But what do you think about this?
No, I think you're exactly right, because the stronger arguments get more into the weeds, and they know that that's not going to be receptive. Their audience is not going to be receptive to that, right? Because it's not the same arguments that are being made in courts where this is being played out. The arguments being made there is that this section does not apply to the office of the presidency, as opposed to the arguments that this is anti-democratic, but they're not gonna make that argument because they've already primed their base to be excited at the prospect that it's actually Democrats who are trying to overthrow democracy as we know it in this country, despite the fact that at the heart of this issue is that Donald Trump attempted to do exactly that. But we've seen Trump using this playbook for years and years now, but really ramping up the rhetoric in the past year or so. We saw him at his civil trial in New York, where he did not have to be present whatsoever. But every day he would leave the courthouse, he would talk to reporters, and he would say that this trial is interfering with democracy because he's not able to be on the campaign trail, despite the fact that one day he just effed off from this trial and went golfing in the middle of it, clearly showing that he didn't need to be there. But we saw him already laying the groundwork for the big lie 2.0, saying without any evidence and before a single vote has been cast that there's going to be fraud in the Iowa caucuses. They need to paint their opponents as attempting to overturn democracy because they know that that's what they're guilty of. They know that's what Trump is guilty of. But again, the base has already been primed to be very receptive to actually saying no, you, to the Democrats.
Yeah, and I will say a couple of things. First of all, Susan Collins, not only her comment, or what she did with Kavanaugh, but also as an Iranian American, when January 6th happened, Susan Collins was interviewed, and she said when she heard that the Capitol was being attacked, she thought it was the Iranians. And I read that. I go, this can't be real. And it is real. That's how out of touch this lady is with reality. Everyone that says, oh, we should let the voters decide. The voters decided. And the guy chose not to accept the results. There's a lot of people that defend him and go, well, in 2024, the voters really should decide. Will he accept the results this time if the voters don't choose him?
That's a great point.
It's totally crazy. And then this other guy who's a Democrat who says, well, wait till he's proven guilty. Again, I feel like we're all seeing someone who's in an abusive relationship, and we've all seen the abuse. We can all see with our eyes. And there's somebody over there going, well, now wait a minute, let's make sure. Well, we did make sure, because the Colorado court actually looked at what happened and decided, yes, he's guilty of insurrection. This Secretary of State, she didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, I saw one video from one angle. She actually looked at it, and in her decision, he's guilty of insurrection. So in a way, he hasn't been tried by a jury yet, but the judges in these two cases, whether it's the Colorado judges or the Maine Secretary of State, have decided he was guilty of insurrection. So for that Maine congressman to say, wait till we find if he's guilty or not, he's been found guilty. So he should be off the ballot until, as Ravana was saying, this right-leaning Supreme Court is going to come and say, well, we're gonna just do this for now and let him continue to be abusive. And by the way, he also supposedly put it on his Truth Social, put the contact information for the Secretary of State in Maine. I just heard this just a few minutes ago that he put her contact information out. Again, doing more of what he's done, which is to dox somebody, knowing that his cuckoo supporters are gonna go and either threaten violence or do violence. And so this guy's dangerous. I can't scream enough. Like, I'm a comedian, I'm supposed to be funny. I'm not funny because he's driving me nuts.
I don't know.
Just to add on also quickly, Maz, to what you were saying, the Maine Secretary of State held comprehensive hearings on both whether or not she had the authority to do this and the substance of what she was deciding. So Republicans, and you're exactly right, are sort of trying to point that, oh, she just saw a video on Facebook, right? And she, on a whim, decided, or she's being very partisan, but she went through the process she was supposed to go through to come to the determination that she did.
Yeah. Well, that's very helpful context. And also you pointing out the difference in the role of the Secretary of State in Maine compared to other states. It's very easy to forget that, like, it's not 50 states and they're just like stamps. Like, each one can be very, very different, even if the roles sound the same, the names of the roles. And I get why well, first of all, they don't care how she came to the conclusion because they don't like the result. But I can also see why they would assume that she would just decide it because it seemed to be to her political benefits, because that's how they would operate. Like, that's why they keep talking about a slippery slope. Like, that we should be terrified that if Donald Trump, after engaging in insurrection, is taken off, well, then any president who tries to overturn the results of the election could be barred. Like, that's a scary, slippery slope. And to be clear, although I'm breaking down what I see to be weak arguments, that doesn't mean that I think it's clear and he should be barred. I think there's a case that could be made. I think there's a case against it, that it could be clear. And I don't think that the Supreme Court is going to uphold him being barred, although we won't know for sure to what amount of their decision is an actual reading of the Constitution and the law, and what is the fact that you have Clarence Thomas on there, for instance. Like, so I'm concerned about that. But really fast, I just want to end with one more. We're gonna go to one person who actually is in favor of this and is a Republican. This is former Maine Republican Senator Thomas Saviello talking about the decision.
You made the decision that Donald Trump does not meet those qualifications because, according to the 14th Amendment, Section 3, he was involved in inciting an insurrection against this country and egged those people on to do what they wanted to do to the Capitol. And therefore, she's made the decision that he is not qualified to be on our ballot. That's the difference. And she made that in a very thoughtful manner. She ran a wonderful hearing. Whether we won or lost, she really listened to what everybody had to say and made that ultimate decision yesterday.
Do you have any concerns, and this is the criticism that we've heard, frankly, from people on both sides of the aisle, that it takes away the ability of Maine voters to have their voices heard? When you hear that
somebody's
criticism,
not qualified.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if somebody's not qualified, they shouldn't be on the ballot. The second thing, if they want to write his name in at the end of the day, go ahead. But the fact is, the man incited a riot on January 6th. That's what brought me to the table. And when I read the Colorado decision that basically said he did create that insurrection, and Secretary of State Bellows said the same thing, that needs to be stopped.
And again, I understand, like, it makes an interesting conversation to focus on, are they being denied the vote or whatever, rather than focusing on the law. I get that. But both specific to Trump and just in general, it doesn't seem like that's an actual conversation that we want to have at anything other than the most shallow of levels. As Maz pointed out, Trump wanted to deny like over 70 million people their vote by overturning the results of the election. He was perfectly happy to tell them to go F themselves and their vote wouldn't count for anything. When he tried to overturn the results of the Iowa caucus in 2016 because Ted Cruz beat him, he didn't care about Iowa caucus goers. When he tried to have Barack Obama blocked from running for the presidency because he said that he wasn't born in the United States, did he care about the chance that people would have to vote for him? And by the way, that brings up a more general point. Like, they're mad that this being in the Constitution might bar him from being a choice for the voters, but there are other things that bar Maine voters from supporting someone. Are they filling the airwaves every day arguing that, hey, why do you have to be 35 years old? If Maine people want to elect a 21-year-old, why shouldn't they be allowed to? Why do you have to be a natural born citizen? What's the, like, again, to what extent do they actually care about people's ability to have their voice be heard? If they cared so much about that, why do Republicans spend so much of their time trying to roll back voting rights in states around the country? Like, it is in very specific instances they care about the will of the people being heard and not much beyond that.
You make a great point. Like, what if I like the policies of El Chapo? I want to vote for El Chapo. But he's not an American citizen, and he's a criminal. You're taking away my right to vote. So Donald Trump at least is half of El Chapo. He's a criminal, and he should be off the ballot because he tried to overthrow this country.
Thank you, Maz. That's gonna be the slogan for his run. Donald Trump 2024, half of El Chapo. Right?
The Republicans are gonna tell you that this is the Democrats' secret nefarious plan to get Trump off the ballot so that they can steal the election. But I think, Maz, you raised a great point earlier, which was that the Colorado challenge was brought by a group of Republicans. And I wanna remind everybody that the polling as of late has shown that any Republican that's not Trump in a head-to-head with Joe Biden beats him. So the idea that the DNC is trying to orchestrate a plan where Joe Biden has a bigger uphill challenge than he already does in the 2024 election is complete and utter nonsense.
100%. They may not like that polling result, but it is just ridiculous that they have to pretend not to see it so that they can imply that Trump is strong and the Democrats are being unfair. Trump being on that ballot is the only chance that Joe Biden appears to have, at least as of right now. So it's a great point.
If it makes you feel any better, I have already put evac on alert. He's ready to go if it comes to that. General, I can assure you.
Chapo let me into the war room to see you, so I had to hack my way onto this frequency.
This better be critical, Wheelie.
Sir, come on, what is it not, please? Okay, couple of things. I wanted low on the dough. I was thinking about taking a couple of months sick leave, maybe starting today. And oh yeah, I intercepted a transmission from Megatron.
Then send it through.
Yes, sir, right away, sir. And so I'll assume that we're good on the other stuff.
This is your last warning, insects. Relinquish what remains of the Allspark.
So who's the insect? You? What? Who's the insect?
Protect you. They were defeated on our world, and we will defeat them here.
The Megatron.
This was just a diversion. Security, make bring up. Rabbit, she's already inside. Deeds. Give me an update on that reserve. Boss readiness. What was his name? What was it?
Evac, sir.
Right, evac.
She's right in front.
We are facing a heavy sustained attack. They appear to be after the Allspark. General, watch out! General! We need to immediately evacuate. Hold on. National security advisory. Stay down. Check it out. The mission celebrations. The amateurs. so